Collins. 30 minutes. Show with David Collins.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining 30-minute half-hour show with David Collins. I'm your host, David Collins. First, I want to say thanks, everybody, so much for waiting and holding on with me. I want to thank everybody who wrote me and emailed me and left me voicemails and reached out. Everything's been good. We can talk about the reason I was fired, but really the only thing I want to say about it was I'm not sure exactly. We can never be sure exactly, but the reasons most people are speculating are probably the reasons I expect to. So we can just move on with that. You know, they say it's just like riding a bike. I'm excited to get this new project started. As long as my feet are on the pedals, we can keep going forward. Today's show, we have a few guests with us. I had one guest, but he decided to show up an hour late with two people with him, so we have a full show today. Before we get on to them, I want to start everybody's favorite. Today's color of the day, Robin's Egg Blue. I have the giggle crew with me today. They can't stop laughing. You should have seen them trying to get the show started. Robin's Egg Blue. I know everybody's excited for the color of the day. It is returning. Now more of a weekly color, I'm going to say, but Robin's Egg Blue. Before we really get into the show today, I do have a sponsor. They've stuck with me, and I really appreciate it. The owner there kind of owed me one, we could say. But Booth Creek Wagyu at 519 McCall Road. It's Suite 500 in Manhattan, Kansas. Located just north of Manhattan, Kansas, Booth Creek's ranch was originally developed by world-class whitetail deer hunting. Contrary to the perception of Kansas geography, Booth Creek features deep, wooded creek draws. I don't know why they word it so difficult here. The read is odd. Creek draws? Does anybody know what a creek draw is? Creek draw?
I've never heard.
These guys are good to me. You shouldn't badmouth them. Okay. Surrounded by rolling hills of lush tallgrass prairie, a perfect place to raise the Wagyu herd. Their ranch, processing plant, and retail store are all within 20 miles of each other, allowing complete control of the process. Check them out at boothcreekwagyu.com. Thank you, Booth Creek, for sponsoring the show. My guest today is Dan McCullough.
Hello.
He's appeared on Slice of Life, Ben's Fellas, and Chicago Roast Battles. He's also opened for great comedians such as Joe Fernandez and Sam Talent. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks for having me. And thanks for letting me Thank you. Thank you very much.
We also have a couple guests that he brought with us, a couple of comedians I've never met, but I've seen one on stage. One, I'm not sure. Are you a comedian?
No.
Okay. We have... Go ahead and introduce yourself. One, I know Todd Baysinger.
Hi.
This is Todd Baysinger, a very funny comic in Eastern Iowa. As some of you know, I've been spending a lot of time in Iowa. My mom has been hospitalized with cancer in Iowa City, so I do have a place that's in this area. So I've been spending a lot of my time now since I've been off the radio doing a little stand-up comedy. It's a fun thing. So this is kind of what we're going to be getting on the show, at least for the few episodes.
And I'm Levi.
What do you do, Levi?
I make Wagyu beef.
Do you really? That's interesting. Do you know the sponsor of our show is also Wagyu beef?
I heard about that, yeah.
Now, one thing about having three people on the show, I was really hoping, because, you know, I'm used to this radio show, there's usually a lot of people in a studio, and a lot of people are doing jobs that I don't have to do. Now that I'm doing my own self-produced show, I have to do the producing, I'm my own co-host, and I have to bring in these guests, and usually, you know, you try to help the guests go. You hope if you have a few people, though, they can kind of keep things going. We're going on to a first game show here, but go ahead, Levi, continue. Tell me about your Wagyu beef. That doesn't sound right. Where do you do this? Is this in Eastern Iowa?
This is
They
just
have a
in my
Wagyu beef?
home.
What's the name of the company that does this in Eastern Iowa?
No, it's not a company. It's probably illegal, but I make beef in my home.
Really? Self-produced Wagyu beef?
Yeah, I lure cattle into my home.
All right, well, this is the next part of the show. We're going to be doing a game show. This game show is called Sign the Joke. We're going to be giving you a joke, and you're going to be giving a name of the comedian that tells that joke. Are you guys ready to play Sign the Joke?
Sure. That sounds like a good time.
All right.
Who do you want to go first, me?
I'll be telling the jokes, funny man.
Okay.
All right, here's the joke. Are you guys ready for the joke? You guys all write jokes, right? Except, what do you don't write jokes.
No,
What-
I kill cows.
How do you know these two?
Well, I mistook Dan for a cow, and then I lured him into my home with every intention to turn him into the Wagyu
You
beef
should
that we
write
previously
down and
mentioned.
do that on stage.
Oh, is that what these guys do?
That was Levi who just said that one. Don't get it mistaken. That wasn't the name of the game of the sign the joke. But we're going to move on to that one. This is the joke. I'll tell you, I'm all right now. But last week, I was in rough shape. I mean, last week, I bought a whirlpool for my bath. So far, I've lost 3 of my best ships. Name the joke.
Is it you?
It's not me. None of these will be me. They'll be nice, known comedians. So we'll go ahead and we'll give you
You got 10 seconds to take this call. 10.
These are incorrect. Here we go. 10 seconds.
I'm gonna say Jim Gaffigan.
I'll tell you, I'm all right now. But last week I was in rough shape. I mean, last week I bought a whirlpool for my bath. So far, I've lost 3 of my best ships.
Anyone have any idea?
Ship Gaffigan.
Oh, sorry. Let's go ahead and hear what the answer to that sign the joke was.
I tell you, I'm all right now, but last week I was in rough shape, you know? I mean, last week I bought a whirlpool for my bath. So far, I lost 3 of my best ships.
Actual comedians.
It was Rodney Dangerfield was the answer. All right, that's okay. Let's go on to our next joke. Dan, would you like to go ahead and read the next joke here? I'll go ahead and take that paper. It's Comedian 2 on that piece of paper that I gave you there.
Comedian 2. I have Game 2 sitcom lines. Is what
So you're looking at Game 2. This is Game 1.
Yes, I don't have
Comedian 2 of Game 1.
Oh, okay. 12 years old. 12 years old, sneaking around my house, and I found my dad's porn in the back of the attic. That was a great day. It was a game changer. But then the worst day of my life was when I found my mom's porn in the back of that video store.
All right, go ahead and sign that joke. 12 years old, sneaking around my house, and I found my dad's porn in the back of my attic. That was a great day. It was a game changer. But then the worst day of my life when I found my mom's porn in the back of that video store.
I'm going to say that's Rodney Dangerfield.
Ooh, let's go ahead and take a look. What was that comedian?
I'm 12 years old. I'm sneaking around my house, and I found my dad's porn in the back of the attic. That was a great day. That was a game changer.
He's a comedian. Legos.
He does what you guys do?
But then the worst day of my life was the day I found my mom's porn in the back of that video store.
He delivered it better than I did.
Now, I'm going to say, I don't get that joke.
What don't you get about it?
I just don't get the joke. I don't understand the joke.
Do you want us to explain it?
No, what I want to hear now, so you guys are comedians. Maybe not after that, I'm starting to think maybe you should be working with Levi, but you guys are comedians.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I like to think, I try to, what do you look for, or how do you, when you go about, how do you come up with your material?
I hang out in weird basements filming podcasts.
Does that give you, do a lot of your material come from filming podcasts?
It will today.
Where have you been? I didn't have any of your credits there. Dan's appeared on Slice of Life, Ben's Fellas, and Chicago Roast Battles. He's also opened for great comedians such as Joe Fernandez and Sam Talent. There's a lot of great podcasters in Iowa, Eastern Iowa. There's one actually, we could cut this interview segment short. There's one that I'm not sure if it's really appropriate or if I'm going to be able to pull it up right away here. But there's this one Eastern Iowa comedian that I saw years ago, and I followed him on Facebook, and he recently started a new podcast. And I was wondering if you guys wanted to listen to the trailer. He's fantastic. I'm so glad he's coming out with a product right now. And if you guys wanted to take a look at that, maybe you could get on his show. I'm trying to look to maybe get on his show next. But this is, have you appeared on Slice of Life, Ben's Fellas, or Chicago Roast Battle yourself?
I have appeared on Ben's Fellas, yes.
And Chicago Roast.
And Chicago Roast Battle, yeah.
Very nice.
Almost won that shit.
Well, this is called Murder Casserole. It's from a pretty well-known Eastern Iowa comic. I don't see him in a lot of the open mics, so I'm pretty sure he's out doing shows. We'll go ahead and just listen to... He's got a couple of episodes that I've really enjoyed so far. The second one was with a comedian, Spencer Laux.
I know Spencer.
And the first one was just a solo episode. Well, it says with Sabrina Contreras, but I listened to it. It was more of a solo episode. But this is the trailer for it, and I thought we might be able to take a look at this. Speaking of you guys appearing on podcasts, I have not been on any podcasts. You know, when I was on radio, I've been on radio since I was 18, and almost dropped something there. There's nothing that I like more than radio, so much that for the last 10 years, I have no interest in doing a podcast, no interest in being on one, promoting one, talking to anybody who does any, but now it seems like that's kind of where things are going, being as they don't want any real talent on radio, it seems like. But let's go ahead and hear, because this is where the real talent is anymore, and we're going to show that with this trailer for an upcoming podcast. What I really like is production value, if you couldn't tell already. And this is production value.
Spencer's very good.
This is Colin Maddox.
All right.
Oh.
Is this thing
Did I
on?
not say the...
All right, I think we're on.
Colin Maddox?
Colin...
All right. Hey there,
I think it's
folks.
pronounced Maddox.
My name's Colin Maddox.
Maddox.
This here is the trailer for my new podcast.
It's the trailer.
It's going to be a comedy true crime show, which we're going to call it Murder Casserole. That's what it's going to be.
I think, at least in the Eastern Iowa comedy scene, not enough true crime. I don't think you can name any Eastern Iowa true crime comedy podcast.
Colin, you know, they're just
Not off the top of my head.
Now you can.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Murder
Casserole.
Casserole.
Right,
Yeah.
Colin, it's not like the market for that genre is flooded at all right now with people who know.
He's
more about it
ironic.
than you.
He's clever.
That doesn't
He's got a
matter.
great
Here's
voice.
The thing, folks, I enjoy talking about murder and the macabre, so I figure why not try to capitalize
The
on
macabre.
that fascination.
Now, is this something that any of you guys have been interested in? Do you guys have a podcast? Do you have anything you promote?
No.
No.
I promote Levi's meat business because I buy meat out of his house, and it's good. It's real good.
I tend to just appear on podcasts more. I don't really want to do one. It seems like too much work.
Have you been on any that I've haven't named?
Let's see. Shot 30 podcast. But that's, I guess, technically a Western Illinois podcast instead of an Eastern Iowa
Oh, it sounds
podcast.
like that's time for our second game. This is a game called Finish the Sitcom Lines. In this game, you're going to have these choices to pick from. We're going to go through a screenplay, and you're going to have to figure out which sitcom this comes from. The options are Fresh Prince, Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, That 70s Show, Friends, or Home Improvement. Are you guys ready to play Sitcom Lines?
Let's do this.
Let's get it.
Dan, would you go ahead and read for character 2?
Sure.
That's right. The whole thing. You married a man. 24 grams of fat. Yeah, but don't worry. I'll be running it off. In hell. Okay, I'm going up.
You know, I kind of understand how your father feels.
Okay, good night.
No.
Yeah, all right.
You still consider yourself Catholic?
What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm Catholic. You can't change that. It's like being Italian or sexy.
Then why don't you go to Mass?
Now come on, it's not like I never go. And you go all the time, and according to this married thing, we are one.
Okay. Now, I'm not trying to make a big thing. I was just thinking about you and your father, and you know why you got so angry about it.
Because it's none of his business.
Why don't you go to church?
I don't know. It's because of the kneeling. You know I have bad knees.
You know, God can hear you right now.
All right. It's time to guess that sitcom.
Okay, so it's not Seinfeld.
It's definitely King of Queens.
King of Queens.
Are we going King of Queens?
Final answer, King of Queens.
Yes.
Yeah.
The options are Fresh Prince, Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, That 70s Show, Friends, or Home Improvement. Everybody, go ahead and send me an email or a voicemail. Since we're off the radio station now, I no longer have access to that company email, so I've had to go back to using my college email. Shout out KSDB. But the only email that you could really reach me right now as midnightjoe33@yahoo.com. Obviously a reference to my old radio name. MIDNIGHT33 or Joe33 JO33@yahoo.com. If you send me a voicemail, we might play it on the show. And if you just write me, go ahead and guess that sitcom. The sitcom, in this case, let's go ahead and listen to what that sitcom was. Should we read it again just to refresh? It's a little long.
It's up to you. It's your show, man.
That's right, the whole thing. You married a man. 24 grams of fat. Yeah, but don't worry. I'll be burning it off in hell.
Oh, it is real. Oh, we're listening to the whole thing too?
I kind of understand how your father feels.
Okay, good night.
Isn't this great?
Oh, it would have given it away if you would have put...
No, we can't. There's a couple of names redacted, and I didn't think it would be... I thought it would read weird if you said, hey, redacted.
Yeah, it would have...
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been pretty weird.
He delivers this line much better. You know, when we read it, it doesn't even sound like a comedy. I don't know how they sold this show. All right, are you two ready for the show 2? I'll go ahead and read for character 1.
Who do you want to read character 2, Levi or Todd?
We'll go. Either of you three, if you want to participate here, we'll go ahead and get this next game on the roll.
So, character 2? No.
I'd hold out for a sack of cash and a jag.
You see, unlike the ancient matchmakers who receive goods for their services, Jill's motives are much purer. She only wants what's best for Al.
Yeah, but why is she dragging me into it?
Who the heck knows? You know women.
All right, can anybody guess that sitcom?
Again, the options are... Just looking this up again. Options are... Fresh Prince, Seinfeld, Everybody Loves Raymond, King of Queens, That 70s Show, Friends, or Home Improvement.
Oh, I'm sorry, you are out of time. Let's go ahead and see what that game show was.
Get some, all right? All right? I'd hold out for a sack of cash and a jag.
What is it?
Tim, unlike the ancient matchmakers who receive goods for the
What's a
services,
jag?
Jill's motives are much purer. She only wants what's best for Al.
Yeah, but why does she drag me into it?
Who the heck knows? You know women.
It was Home Improvement. Maybe the third game, you guys will get the right answer on time. That's great, though. We've had a lot going on in the news this week, and I want to talk a little bit about the weekly news. But first, we did have a few voicemails that came in, and I just wanted to make sure that we get a couple of them read on the air here. This first one, where are these voicemails? That would be a hell of a voicemail. Levi was just handing me a picture of a cock that he's been drawing over there. That's why you haven't heard him speak for a while. A lot of detail. Let's go ahead and jump into this first voicemail. This comes from Julia from Riley, Kansas.
Hi there. I'm calling to leave a voicemail for David Collins. So glad to hear you're on a new show. K-Rock hasn't been the same without you. Nobody I talked to agrees you should have been fired for that harmless April Fool's prank. You know, a few years ago, my youngest taped the hose on the sink so that when I went to get a glass of water, it sprayed all over me. That would have been a more fireable offense, if you ask me. Anyway, my husband says you're having a comedian on your first show. I thought it'd be cool if you asked them how they come up with material for their skits. Thank you.
And thank you, Julia. That's so sweet. And I completely agree with you, but what can you do? Those are the companies these days. I'm sorry about your daughter. That sounds horrible. That is a good question, though. How do you guys come up with your material for your skits?
Just everyday life, I guess. That's thanks, Julia, for calling in too. I appreciate the question. Sorry about your daughter. Yeah, just everyday life type of stuff, you know. Todd?
I actually have a rat that lives in my beanie who writes my jokes for me.
That's a great idea for a sitcom.
Yeah, I maybe a Pixar movie. I don't
You know,
if
I'm
they've
going
ever
to edit
done
this
that,
tomorrow. If you want me to edit that out, and if you start working on that idea,
You know what? Let them have it. It's cool, but that's just my idea, and I'm gonna start working on that, and I'll beat him to it.
That's great. Anybody out there listening, take him up on his challenge. That rat in the beanie idea, it reminds me a lot like this episode of the Powderpuff Girls where they run into a monkey. And it's not a rat, but it's... anyway, we're going to go ahead and listen to the second voicemail. This is Randall from Ogden, Kansas. Thank you so much for calling in, Randall.
Long-time listener. Looking forward to your new show. I was hoping to
Thank you.
ask if you were going to be bringing back Color of the Day.
Already done, Randall.
Song parodies, War of the Roses, all those bits. Nobody does them like DC. All right, thanks, man.
Hell yeah. Shout out, Randall. Thank you for that call. Color of the Day, obviously, showstopper. Got to make sure we keep that. You know, a big secret about those other ones, though, the song parodies, the War of the Roses, those are actually just bought from a big company that sells its radio stations all over. So we're going to be doing original bits, and it's going to be kind of inspired by that, but it's going to be better. So thank you for that call, Randall. And we're going to move on to this week's weekly news. What did you guys think about those voicemails? Do you guys have any word for Randall there, or any?
Randall seems like a fucking dope fan, dude. So
as comedians, you must appear on a lot of different radio stations.
Well, more podcasts than radio stations usually. I don't know why. It's the times are changing, as Bob Dylan said.
I was once on the radio for not comedy reasons, and I prefer not to talk about it. But
You know,
I
there
was
is-
on the radio one time.
I'm going to have a guest on next week, I believe, named Austin Ingalls. Very funny comedian in Eastern Iowa, also in Eastern Iowa. But he, I believe, was on the news, the television recently. It wasn't just a radio. It was on TV.
Yes,
Which,
it was.
You know, you ask some people,
picture
that
movies.
might be prior. That might be really audience. Who's watching TV? More people are listening to the radio. I drive when I get in the car.
I
I'm
agree
a
with
younger
you,
person.
David.
I get in the car. I turn on the radio. I'm not turning on the TV.
It's hard
No.
to watch the TV. in the
Yes.
car.
Yeah, it's very hard to watch the TV in the car, for sure. I agree with you, David.
That
Please
sound
don't
means
kill me.
it's time for weekly news. We have a lot going on in the news today, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to joke about it. We got a few jokes about it. I'm looking forward to it. But we do have some things that we need to talk about. And it's going to lead us right into the last game of the show today. We're coming in close on that 30 minutes, so we're going to make this as quick as we can. This week in the news, have you guys seen anything about this Chinese balloon?
Yeah, I did see that.
It seems to be the biggest story in the news. And they were saying as if, you know, China's working on this new technology and that's what they were spying. I did a little research. China's been working with hot air since the 3rd century, unlike our country, which only been doing it since the Trump administration.
Yeah, that's a good joke.
But seriously, the Chinese balloon.
Yeah, it is. It is
You work
serious.
with cattle.
Some say
the
that
weather.
balloon was a little slanted.
This is why we got. I see why you brought him.
Yeah. I'm bringing that fire.
Yeah, I do work with cattle. I don't particularly see how that has anything to do with balloons, but I mean, it is a huge issue. It's a matter of like public
Why do you
security.
think it was there?
I think they're just out for a goof.
They say they're doing weather technology. You know why I think they were there for?
Why's that?
I think that they were just trying to watch the Grammys. Did you guys try to watch that? Hardest thing to see. It wasn't just on Paramount Plus. It was on Paramount Plus Premium.
It was very.
You guys see the Grammys at all this week?
No.
That was also in the news. Big stories.
I don't have Paramount Plus Premium, so
No, but all the stories were about it.
Didn't Beyonce win everything?
Beyonce did not win everything, and it was a big controversy because yet again, another white male won Album of the Year. And don't quote me on the male part, because who really knows what you can get in trouble for these days. But another white person won Album of the Year. Beyonce, no, she only won all of... Actually, Beyonce became the most decorated artist in history, and 50 years of hip-hop were honored at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards. Trevor Noah returned to host the ceremony for the third straight time as the evening concluded with Harry Styles taking home the coveted award for the Album of the Year.
Oh, good for him.
So what Beyonce did, she now has the record for the most Grammys ever won. And it's actually kind of interesting because she kind of stole it from this foreign Chicago orchestra player that previously had the most Grammys. And now nobody will ever know his name. His name was George Solti. So shout out to George Solti today. When you think of the Grammys, remember R.I.P. George Solti. We're recording this the day before the Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, one thing I wanted to say about the Grammys. I think some of these guys are taking it a little too seriously and starting to dress like a Grammy. Well, what is the... What? You guys didn't come prepared today.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're all dressed kind of weird at the Grammys.
We try to do a clean show.
Okay. No, for sure. Love the Jews.
I do like one of my favorite things I've been getting on stage instead of this radio thing. On the radio, you're constrained. On stage, you can say whatever you want. It's very cool. It's unlike the radio. Super Bowl's tomorrow. We're recording this the day before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to eat on the Super Bowl? I like some nachos. Probably have some frozen shrimp.
You eat it frozen?
Well, we probably will have some frozen shrimp.
Like, do you heat it up at all?
Cook it?
Like a
The
cocktail?
funny thing about shrimp is you can eat it cold. Have you ever eaten your shrimp cold?
Like a cocktail,
like a
shrimp
cocktail.
cocktail.
Sure, yeah, but it's cooked and then it's chilled.
And then chilled.
Is that all you guys eat on the Super Bowl? Just shrimp?
No, I like the meatballs.
Yeah.
Meatballs and the weenies.
I like a nice cut of Wagyu beef.
From Levi's farm?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of people, this is probably a busy time of year for you.
No, for sure. He cooks it.
We're going to call this out.
Okay, he cuts it strictly in his bathtub. And it's, I don't know, the way he does it, he beats the cows like himself with like a baseball bat. He tenderizes the shit out of that. Then he cuts them in his bathtub. And
I'm beginning to think that he doesn't work with any cattle. Although I haven't seen his wife, you know what I'm saying? The State of the Union was this week. Did anybody watch some of the State of the Union?
Uh-huh.
They told Biden it's the State of the Union. He said,
What'd he say?
He said, no, not Union. My name is Biden. They said, no, it's the State of the Union today. He said, my name's Union. He said, no, your name's Biden. And he said, what, there's two of me now?
So this is like your thing then, yeah? You like make fun of people's wives and then you talk about Joe Biden?
I'm a big fan of Joe Biden. But, it's good to poke fun. Speaking of making fun of people's wives, you see Joe Biden's wife making out with DeSantis' wife? It was a big story from the State of the Union.
We did not see this.
I didn't see that at all.
Yeah. Holy shit.
And that sound means that it's time for the last game of our show today. It's going to be a good game, too. In this game, we ask, what does Biden say next? We're going to go through, and it's not just from the State of the Union yesterday. It's going to go through a lot of different times, just a couple. But we're going to play this game called What Does Biden Say Next? Are you guys ready to play What Does Biden Say Next?
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's do it.
Dan, would you go ahead and read for Biden there?
Sure. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it.
All right. Todd, would you like to read the choices?
Sure.
Let's get everybody involved.
A. I grew up poor. Many of my college's colleagues grew up poor.
You didn't kind of.
I know. I meant to do Obama. I can't. I don't see color.
Just read the other.
I gotta read all of them?
Yeah.
I'll go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay.
All right, B.
It's your show, David.
That was A. I grew up poor. Many of my colleges and colleagues grew up poor. Or B. Poor kids are just as bright and as talented as white kids. Is it C? There's also this notion that single mothers are raising these poor kids. Or is it D? I was saying to Jill the other day, Jill, what was I saying to you? That was the end of, we have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Is it A, B, C, or D?
I think it's B.
I'm gonna say B. I'm gonna say B, David.
Let's go ahead and see.
Dick. President?
Oh, whoops. That was President Biden saying dick. Excuse me, that was the wrong video. Let's see. We have this notion.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Oh, it does look like we got a winner. We got both winners. Good job, you two. All right. Let's go ahead and play the second round of What Does Biden Say Next? So Biden goes ahead and he says, so-called Great Recession. The president asked me to be in charge of managing that piece. What does Biden say next? A. I like pie, but boy. B. And piece by piece, we made America great. C. Then President Trump, excuse me. D. I was saying to Jill the other day. Jill, what was I saying to you? What does Biden say next?
I'm gonna say D.
Go ahead and, are you all guessing? Go ahead and read your letter and read what the letter says.
I'm gonna say D. I was saying to Jill the other day. Jill, what was I saying to you?
I'm gonna say A. I like pie, but boy.
Well, that makes sense. He said something about having a piece, managing that piece, and everybody likes pie.
I'm gonna say, then President Trump, excuse me.
Sounds like someone's a bigger fan of Biden than I am. All right, let's go ahead and hear what the answer was. So-called recession, he says.
Forces, so-called Great Recession. The president asked me to be in charge of managing that piece, then President Trump. Excuse me.
Oh,
that was me.
Dan, it looks like that you did get another win there.
Oh, yeah,
right.
I win.
2 wins at the end. You're good at the political games. Maybe you should do a news show.
Sure.
All right. Well, we've reached the end of that 30-minute half-hour show with David Collins. Thanks so much for coming on, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I would like to thank Daniel for kidnapping me to be here today. So, yeah. He told me we were going to Dave and Buster's.